Sorry. I had to post this on the screen. Hey, that was dope. Let's do that again. Jack, hey, George, we're going live. We're going live.
Who did it?
I need to turn this thing on. I need to turn this off.
Oh, what's your name? That's the only possible way.
What?
Chapter. What? You gotta call. She got the keyboard and all that.
Okay. She's out there. Can you ask her for the keyboard? Because she knows we're gonna watch something.
And you gotta get the remote out the other remote. I mean, you gotta get the batteries out the other remote to put it in the remote.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Margarita, I heard the bad news.
I do this shit like that. The Ricky Bobby.
Y'all better pay attention.
That's a clean room.
I got a buddy. His name is Jeffrey. He don't do no drugs. He's my buddy. Jeffrey. By the two of his word. They call him buddy. Not calculator.
Huh?
What's some syrup? You better pass that shit. I'm gonna tell you what.
Hey, John.
Yo.
You not put that TV on?
This one?
Side?
That side?
I don't know which side.
Yeah. I think so.
It's on the way now, ain't it?
No, it's right here.
So,
Some should pop. There you go. It's got to be on input or something.
okay, I know in Virginia it takes like
Be on
2-3
input.
weeks after you schedule.
No, it's right.
All right, thank you.
You know what I'm saying? I wish you Florida residency.
Good. Then you can get a Disney pass.
Yay. Disney World.
Drop me off at Legoland.
Go to their land.
What the heck is
Look at
that?
that chick. What is that chick doing?
I don't know. I'm looking at the knife. What's she doing? Or what she had? That looks like a 3-foot chainsaw on a 200-pound caboose. I don't know. That's got to be every bit of 4 feet chainsaw.
This is on two, but I need this. Look,
What do we
I
need
need
to
this
do?
up there. I need this to face the. Everybody's here? Thank you.
I know this guy.
Everybody is here.
Something like that?
Please, you can't start if you don't sit. Huh?
Something like that?
No, I need it over here.
Oh. Hmm.
Oh my God. It has to be as close as possible.
Hey, you throwing that money at
Do I
me?
have money in my shoes? What's wrong with you?
Now I gotta do the count.
Here, right here. Right there.
I don't know if it's mine. That's why I'm counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Should have another one in there.
It's right here, man.
Okay, that's
Okay.
25. I had 50.
So, it looks like they're not because I have to put first play. We're going to watch,
No, definitely ain't mine.
this
Oh yeah, I did have mine.
documentary. It's actually a TED Talk,
That's fine.
and this guy is explaining his,
No, this one's mine.
um, he's explaining his view of his addiction and whatever he went through. And it's 19 minutes long, so we're going to discuss about it. So you can take notes because we are, so you can follow up with what we're going to talk about afterwards. Let me.
So there will be a quiz or a question?
Not a quiz.
Oh, okay. So just pay attention.
Just pay attention. Thank you.
This is only make it bigger. Listen.
Yeah.
So there should be some things that you all should know about me
You
beyond
guys
what
took
was
the
said.
sign-in sheet.
Oh, my
I
pen.
grew up
Let me sign.
in the hood in Miami, in a poor neighborhood. I came from a community in which drug use was prevalent. I kept a gun in
Sign
my
that shit.
car.
Nope.
I
Okay.
engaged in petty crime. I used and sold drugs. But as has been said, I stand before you today also, emphasis on also, a professor at Columbia University who studies drug addiction. And I know
Hey, James. James. Get back here.
Bring it back
I
this
know
way. if you
Sign
can.
it.
some of you all are wondering, especially the ones who haven't Googled it yet. How in the world did you get from there to here? Fortunately, there were a few key decisions in my life that changed my course. After high school, I joined the Air Force. And joining the Air Force started me on the path of higher education. And I ultimately earned a PhD in neuroscience. You see, I studied neuroscience specifically so I could solve the drug addiction problem.
Jamie.
See, I fully believe that the crime and poverty in my community was a direct result of crack cocaine. And so I reasoned that if I could solve or cure drug addiction, I could fix crime and poverty in my community. So I was told, and I fully believed, that drugs like crack cocaine were so addictive that the user only needed one hit to become addicted. So in 1986, when Congress passed laws punishing crack cocaine trafficking violations 100 times more harshly than those for powder cocaine, I thought that was quite appropriate. I mean, after all, 16 of the Congressional Black Caucus members voted for this legislation. I thought it sent the clear message to crack users and dealers in places like my old community that we wouldn't tolerate them destroying the neighborhood of the community. But I was unprepared of what I would learn as I went about making my contribution to the study of the neurobiology of drug addiction. And ultimately, this new information that I learned changed how I viewed the role of drugs in the whole poverty crime cycle. I first began questioning my thinking when I discovered that drugs like crack cocaine were not as addictive as we have been told. There is no drug in which the user uses one time and become addicted. In fact, 80 to 90% of the people who use illegal drugs are not addicts. They don't have a drug problem. I think I need to say that again. 80 to 90% of the people who use illegal drugs don't have a drug problem. Most are responsible members of our society. They are employed. They pay their taxes. They take care of their families. And in some cases, they even become president of the United States.
Ouch.
All three of these men reported illegal drug use when they were younger. Now, the point here, my point is not to besmirch or tarnish the reputation of these men. They all serve their country. My point is this: their drug use did not result in an inevitable downward spiral leading to debauchery and addiction. And the experience of these men is the rule, not the exception. The overwhelming majority of drug users don't have a drug problem. Now, the notion or the idea or the basis for this one hit and you're hooked idea comes from experiments conducted in the 1960s and 1970s. Laboratory animals were given unlimited access to drugs like cocaine and methamphetamine, will repeatedly self-administer or repeatedly press a lever to receive intravenous injections of these drugs until it kills them.
Dang.
These early experiments provided evidence for the drug-seeking into death notion. But that's not the whole story. In the cages in these experiments that I'm explaining or describing contain nothing else but a lever leading to intravenous drug injections. The most interesting part of the story for me, however, is what happened when the animals were presented with an alternative as well as the drug level. The alternative being something like a sexually receptive mate or a sweet treat. When given an option, animals do not self-administer drugs until death. In fact, the animals will often take the non-drug alternative over the drug. We followed up these experiments in my laboratory using human research participants. We recruited crack cocaine addicts from New York City. By the way, my use of the term addict conforms to the DSM definition of substance use disorder. And equally important, we met all human subjects and regulatory requirements before initiating these experiments. We brought the cocaine users into the lab. We gave them a choice between $5 and a hit of cocaine, crack cocaine, worth more than $5. We repeated this with each person many times over several days. What we found was that the crack cocaine users chose to take drug on about half of the occasions and money on the other half of the occasions. Even a nominal amount of money was enough to deter crack cocaine addicts from taking drug on at least half of the occasions. Not exactly the insane, anything for a hit behavior that I was taught that crack cocaine users would display. We next recruited methamphetamine addicts and repeated that same experiment. Just like the crack cocaine users, the methamphetamine users chose to take methamphetamine on about half of the occasions and money on the other half of the occasions. We next raised the cash reward to $20. And when $20 was the alternative, the methamphetamine users almost never took the drug. They predominantly took the money. Just like the laboratory animal, when presented with an attractive alternative, even people diagnosed with drug addiction do not choose to take the drug. Stated another way, attractive alternatives dramatically decrease drug use. These were definitely not the results that I was expecting when I set out to solve the drug addiction problem. So, since my time in the hood, I had always viewed the plight of my family and community through the lens of those bad drugs. I even perpetuated the narrative that drugs were the problem. So you can imagine my shock and confusion as I started to uncover evidence that crime and poverty were mostly independent of drug use. I mean, crime was in poor communities long before crack cocaine ever hit the street. And annual FBI statistics clearly show that the overwhelming majority of prisoners were not addicted or intoxicated during the time of their crime. And as I think back over my family situation growing up, we certainly were poor well before drugs ever entered the picture. And I certainly engaged in petty crime, but it had nothing to do with drug addiction. It was about money and status. In other words, if you take drugs out of the equation, poverty and crime still exists. It's not drug addiction causing people to commit crime. It's other factors. So, to make matters worse, drug laws are not uniformly enforced across all segments of our society. And this perpetuates the cycle of poverty and crime. The popular notion is that poor black people use crack cocaine, while wealthier white people tend to use powder cocaine. And in 1988, Congress extended the crack cocaine law such that we now punished possessions of crack cocaine 100 times more harshly than those with powder cocaine. Scientifically, it makes no sense. Crack and powder cocaine are the same drug.
Yep.
They both have pharmacological, predictable effects. As the dose of either are increased, so too are the effects on blood pressure, heart rate, euphoria, addictive potential, you name it. It's true that smoking crack cocaine produces a more intense effect than swallowing or snorting powder cocaine. But that increased intensity is due to route of administration, not the drug itself. Because injecting powder cocaine dissolved in water produces the identical intense effects as smoking crack cocaine. And those same laws require that anyone caught with even small amounts of crack cocaine were required to serve a minimum of 5 years in prison. But that's not even the real injustice. Here's the real injustice. The real injustice is this. More than 80% of the people convicted under these laws were black, despite the fact that most users of all forms of cocaine are white. This selective targeting and racial discrimination has contributed to the horrifying statistic that 1 in 3 black males can expect to spend time in prison. I'm a father of 3 black sons. One has spent time in jail because of drug laws. The same number, by contrast, for white boys is about 1 in 20. So the question becomes, what do we do about this shameful situation? We can do at least 3 things that would have an immediate positive impact. First, my research shows that attractive alternatives can decrease drug use because meaningful employment is one of the most important attractive alternative reinforcers. Providing viable economic opportunities will go a long way in decreasing drug abuse. Second, I believe we should decriminalize all drugs. Decriminalization would be like treating drugs like a traffic violation. Someone might be required to pay a fine if they're caught with possessing illegal drugs, but they will not be subjected to criminal prosecution. When you consider this fact, each year we arrest 1.5 million people in this country for drug law violations. 80% of those folks are for simple drug possession. Decriminalization of possession would have a huge impact. Countries such as Portugal and the Czech Republic have already decriminalized drugs. Their drug using rates and overdose rates are lower than ours in the United States and are equal to or lower than their European neighbors. But under decriminalization, significant portions of their society are not stigmatized, marginalized, and unfairly incarcerated. If our goal in the United States is to have a legal system that treats everyone fairly, one that's just, then we must change the way we criminalize and selectively enforce drug laws. Third, I believe science should be driving our drug policy and drug education, even if it makes you and me uncomfortable. The first step is to be honest about drug use. If we're honest, we can decrease the number of people who die from drugs dramatically. Here's just one example of being honest. 75% of the people who die from a heroin-related overdose death do so because they combine heroin with another sedative, like alcohol or benzodiazepine. The public health education message is simple. Rather than vilifying heroin, the message should be, if you're going to use heroin, don't combine it with another sedative. People will always use drugs. They always have used drugs. We must learn to live with this fact. We already take this approach with other potentially dangerous activities, such as sex, alcohol, even driving. I've come a long way since the mean streets of Miami, and even a longer way since the starry-eyed young man who wanted to eradicate drugs as the best way to deal with the drug problem. Today, I no longer want to eradicate or eliminate drugs from our society. It would be naive to think so. Don't get me wrong, I still want to help people who have a drug problem. But equally important, I want to help keep safe recreational users who don't have a problem, because they make up the vast majority of drug users. What I now know is that the drugs themselves are not the problem. The real problems are poverty, unemployment, selective drug law enforcement, ignorance, and the dismissal of science surrounding these drugs. As a scientist, I'm doing my best to lessen the science, to lessen the ignorance by disseminating the science. I hope you will take some of the information that I have shared with you today to help join me in my efforts. Thank you.
All right, so. Okay, so. We'll bring in you.
Bring the charger too?
All right, so what did we gather?
They decriminalized it in Portugal, and the overdose and use percentage has decreased.
Yes, sir.
That drug is not the main cause of me getting convicted or me a drug that is different from being a drug user.
Okay. Yes.
80 to 90% of
Oh,
people
man.
who use the drugs do not have a drug problem.
Yeah.
Okay, recreation.
Can you add to that?
What else you want to add to it? What do you want to add to it?
I don't know.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I had it though.
I feel like that's, the drug, doesn't go out and make you whole up the store.
Okay. So what does it?
It's poverty. Poverty, that's what
Poverty. Okay. Anyone else? This side? Oh, sorry.
lack of money.
Lack of money. Yes, sir.
The drug is not a reason, the drug users commit crimes.
And everybody who uses drugs is not a drug addict.
Right. Yes, sir.
They're trying to lower the sentence on, drug users.
Okay.
I got one.
What did you gather from him speaking though?
Oh, no, I'll just take one of the facts.
No, go ahead.
Which is, we said 80% of the people who are incarcerated for drug charges are solely there for possession and not distribution.
You disagree?
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
You agree, okay.
I can see drug was the back,
Tired of the abuse of drug users.
One at a time.
He said it was crime before drugs, so drugs is not really a factor of getting crime stuff.
I
Mhm.
disagree.
I disagree with
the fact that, that people are under the influence of drugs or alcohol at the time they committed a crime.
You disagree?
Yes.
So you don't think that they,
I think that people are or were under the influence of either drugs or alcohol at the time they committed a crime.
all the time?
No, just because.
Each
you
and every
was,
crime?
doesn't mean-
Each and every crime?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I could speak for myself and say that I wasn't on any drugs when I got arrested.
Right.
I love, I for myself, yes. Yes, sir. Okay,
I disagree when he said every drug hit one time is not an addiction. I understand heroin, if you hit heroin one time, you automatically addicted.
Crack cocaine too.
okay.
I'm gonna say that's not true.
Trying
I
to
will
chase
keep
it.
that in mind, but okay.
I'm gonna say that's not true from experience.
I've been there
It's
plenty of
something
times.
that you develop over time.
Excuse me, please. Yes.
I can also vouch for that.
Go ahead. After that, okay.
Yeah, I vouch for it too, because you know about that one hit, making you want to have it again, you know, make it addictive. I don't believe that's true.
Okay. Yes,
You
sir.
take that first hit of heroin, and you don't become addicted. You're trying to chase that first high and you won't get it because your tolerance is up the end and you're trying to get it.
I want to say something to what he said. I think that it's more of an underlying mental problem.
There you go.
Most people who are drug users, maybe I could be wrong, we have a compulsive behavior, which will lead us to keep using the drug, and then eventually we get a physical dependency on it, but it really starts with the mental dependency first. Just like he said, you want to chase the high that's going to make you feel really good, and that's just a compulsive thing, because we tend to overstimulate ourselves with things.
That's what kills us.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I don't agree with him on the poverty criminalization education, how that is cause for someone to be an addict, because I don't have that background, and I'm an addict. I've had the house, the apartment, I had the job, I had the cell phone, I had it, and I still went back to use. The other thing was about the one hit, or I had that one drink of alcohol, and yet when I went back to the nightclub, I'm outside going, I can't go in. Why? Because I need a drink. I'm being at home, my mom's at home going, I'm bored, I want a drink. Because when I took that first drink, something clicked or whatever. And I think that when he offered those addicts that money, or that crack, I think they didn't want that nickel crack, and they took the 20 and got a dub.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
Good analogy. That's what I was thinking too. Okay. Let me remember. Okay. So the statistics that he said are based on his own research. It's him doing his own analysis.
Right.
And he's from Miami, and this is what he's going by. So that's he said it,
Yeah.
based on my research.
Yeah.
So with all due respect, that's his research. So him coming out and deliberately saying that, and the purpose is, I purposely selected this one because he talks about, I'm from Miami, and we're like neighboring Miami. So that's just his analysis, that's his research, those are the people that he collected. Okay, somebody once told me, oh, we need a reward system. You have to give us. I don't believe in reward systems.
Oh, I just said that as humans, we like the word system. I didn't say that I wanted one.
Right, okay. But I don't believe in reward systems. As a clinician, I will deplete the rewards. You know why? Because I don't want somebody to be manipulated to do something because I'm going to give you something in return.
Right.
And he said it. It's a job, it's sex, it's food, it's drugs, it's alcohol. Ain't going to happen because you're not going to get none of that here. Baby food, chips, donuts. As far as you said, the one hit, there's a thing called addictive traits. A lot of us in here, I'm sure, have done something, tasted something, done something that we did one time and we just didn't like it, so we never did that again. That just means that you do not have addictive traits for that specific drug or alcohol. A lot of people will say, I will smoke, but I don't like to drink. A lot of people will say, I'd rather alcohol than smoke or even hit cocaine. So it all depends on your addictive trait. What do you have as an addictive trait?
Mine's cocaine.
So some people have, more prone choices than others. So it depends on what is in your DNA. What are your addictive traits? Excuse me. What are your addictive traits? What is it that when you did one time, you liked it so much and we did it again? What are those things you did one time and you don't like it, you never did again? Then you can kind of come up with a map of, okay, well, these are my addictive traits. And you will never know this until you try it yourself. It's like when you're allergic to a food. You will never know you're allergic to food until you have a reaction. Like I know I'm allergic to apples up until I got that damn reaction. Never taste another apple ever again. Because the fact that I got an allergic reaction from it, I will never try an apple again.
What is it, acid or something?
I have no idea.
That's
No
weird.
apple, no apple pie, no apple juice, no apple scent, no apple
Cider?
smells, nothing.
This way.
Nothing of anything.
Shoot it.
So that is, I know that's me. That's not an addictive trait. That's just my sensory nerves. But as far as the drug is concerned, those are called addictive traits. Good point, Dave. Now, the leading to the first hit. I'm gonna be bold with you, can I?
Yeah.
It's like your virginity. The first time you have sex, you will never have that same feeling ever again.
Thank you.
You will have the feeling of pleasure and oh my God, but you will never have that one ever again.
But you taste.
So you can, so this is the reason why we do what we do constantly. We have partners, you get married, you do whatever you do, but it's because we are attracted to that. That's what we said, attracted behaviors. Yes, sir.
I think when they're talking about quote unquote chasing the first high, when there's a lot of debate going on, you try it one time and you love it, you try it another time you not it. I think we need to all sit back and think, what, and you don't gotta answer, but what is the drug that you are addicted to? Don't think about your first high, think about what you were doing. Because a lot of times when we go back to that chasing the first high, it could have been we were at a party, or it could have been we were kicking with girls. If you're sitting in the corner and you're doing bad, you try heroin and you crank the fuck out and it's all bad, you might not want to go back to it. But that third time you did it, it might have been so lit, you keep on going back to it for that. So I mean, I think it's not really chasing the first high, it's chasing that moment. And when you keep doing it so much, then it's too late.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that, because that's what I was trying to get my point across about. I don't think it's a one-time thing, I just think it's really based on your behavior. And just how you said, sometimes you just try to get back, you try to recreate that moment, kind of like what Jonathan said. And it doesn't mean it's on the first time, you might be able to do it 10 times if you're not hooked. But eventually, your body does get a physical dependency.
But it's not hooked.
Right.
It's the pleasure seeking.
Yeah.
It's the romancing of, okay, if I saw that he did it and he's acting like this, shit, I wanna do the same thing. I wanna act like that. I wanna feel like that. So I'm gonna try it. And I probably will go through a few times. But remember, if you're gonna go back and try it again, whether it was good or bad, it's probably gonna be bad. If you never do it again, that means you don't have addicted traits for that particular drug. Two different things, okay, yeah.
Okay, one reason I said that is because I had a friend in Detroit, Michigan, and he used to come down and visit me, and I used to cook food and everything, fish, and we go fishing. He never would eat none of the food. He'd always eat sneaker bars. And I was like, why don't you just want to eat nothing to eat? He said, James, I'm gonna tell you something. He'll end up ODing on heroin. He said, James, let me tell you something. With all you do, never put your hand on heroin. He said, because the first hit, always your body go in a withdrawal and want some more. You know? And so, you know, and I mean, he OD'd on that stuff, you know, but he gave me that word advice before he died. He said, man, please don't ever touch that man,
Okay.
you know? So I don't know, you
And to
know.
piggyback that, yes,
you know.
and to piggyback that right there, that's what we have overdosing, because a lot of people, like you said, the animals will do it, but the animals will not go for the drug, they go for the reward.
Yeah.
We, human beings, we love that immediate reaction, satisfaction,
Yeah.
gratification, sexual appeal, we love that shit, we romance that. So we'll continue until we unfortunately pass, OD. You had your hand up there?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. You need to put your mask on though. I know your name.
I know what you mean, I know what you mean by trying something and you don't like it, you'll stay away from it. It's like, I tried a drug, I didn't like it. Mama fluid, what do you call it?
Wet.
Cigarette.
Wet.
I smoked that one time. And had me feeling so messed up now. You got nowhere I'm smoking everything. But like I used to do cocaine. It's not the drug, you're right. Because I can't get high on myself. There's no way I'm gonna get high on myself. I need the same thing that started me doing drugs. It was the party, it's the activities, it's the party, it's the atmosphere that's what I was addicted to. It's not the drug per se.
So you like this self-gratification. So in this party, in that atmosphere that you were in, right? Were you like the alpha male? Were you like the girls were liking you? Were you like the everybody would talk to? Were you like the man in this situation?
Yeah. It was
Alpha male. Okay. Jerry?
I'm just thinking about, I've been experimenting with drugs for 50 years. And, I've shot up, I've shot dope, I've shot, I've experimented with so many different drugs, it's not even funny. And I like getting high. I can get high on heroin, I can get high on cocaine, I can get high on crack, I can get high on freebase, I like getting high. So my addiction is to getting high. Because I've shot dope for 3 months straight, as soon as I was coming down, I'd be putting a needle back in my arm, and I walked away from it. And there's one thing in my life that I know that brings me the most pleasure, which is coke, smoke, because it gets rid of pain. Physical pain. So for me, not only do I get to get high, which is what I like to do, but I also get rid of physical pain.
What do you think, Rodney? What do you think about when he said that it affects the crime and poverty of the community?
I think he said it has nothing to do with crime or poverty.
You see, he said that? Can you look at her and you said that?
Yeah, I think that's what he said.
Okay, so what he was also saying was crime and poverty was once upon a time said that it was the blame for addiction. Right? But we know that it's not. Someone here, what is your name, sir? Huh? He said that that's not true because he is not from the quote stigma that he's talking about. And this is why we have to be so careful. We need to be so careful what we say when we stand up here. Oh, you too. Sorry. That we don't stigmatize, we don't be general, we don't start to say everyone. I like when somebody over here said the I. Yes, the I statement, me. And it's true. Not everybody comes from the same walk of life. With all due respect to you. Not everybody comes in here from the same state, from the same family. No, we do not. So it depends on what is your choice. This is about you. What happened to you, MRT guys, that you ended up picking up? What led to your decisions to pick up, to use, to follow the trend, to use it again? Is it the high? You like the fact that you can get high and you like the high? Is it your external? Is it because when you're high, you are an alpha male, everybody wants you, you are like the main attraction of the place? So think about those things. You know very well. Geddes, is it? Last name Geddes? Last name Geddes?
Yes.
I'm sure you can walk into a club and you don't need all that to be the alpha male of the place.
Say it again?
I'm sure you can go to a club and you can be the alpha male of the place without using drugs. Yes? I think so too. So it does not mean that you cannot be, you cannot live, you cannot do without it. You most definitely can. And the best part of that is that you will remember the next day. And if you have somebody laying next to you, you will very well know who that is. Yeah, right? So he says the cash reward system. This is why I don't do the rewards. You either pass it, you fail, but it's because of your earnings. I don't give nothing. And let me tell you, when a person is so used to getting away with things and cutting corners, and then we have a dum-dum teacher, professor, counselor, therapist who's a dum-dum who wants to give you things and pass you, that person does not have the best interest for you. Not helping you at all. Because instead of that person sitting down and sitting with you and explaining exactly what is it that you need to do and how you need to do it, no, they just want to go ahead and pass you so you can shut up and keep it going because I don't want to deal with you right now. And honestly, I want to deal with you right now, up until April 8th.
That's what's up.
I right,
That's
so
real now.
a lot of people
So you leave.
will not like it, a lot of people will complain about me, and honestly, I do not care. Because I will tell you, there has been some people in here that have told me, Ms. Margaritas, do not make me do MRT, I don't wanna do that shit, that's not for me, no problem. Are you gonna do MRT? No, I don't wanna do MRT. Are you gonna do MRT? No, I don't wanna, eventually, they'll do MRT. Eventually, they'll like MRT. Eventually, they're gonna learn how to manipulate people to do what they want to do. That is what you guys need to think about. What are you learning in MRT? In MRT, you're gonna learn that by yourself. In MRT, you're gonna learn that, you know what? Your addiction, your crimes, your rap sheet does not define who you are. You define who you are. Because when you walk into a door, you don't have your rap sheet sitting in front of you as a t-shirt saying, look what I've done. Look at the asshole I've been. Look at the girls I've broken hearts. No, you walk in there with what? With a button down and a tie. That's what you want people to see you as. So whatever is your euphoria, whatever is against your high, whatever is against you the kicks, that's your problem. There's something I'm not gonna say, but I'm really waiting for the last like 5 minutes. Okay. Well, I'm gonna say it before I forget. I tell this to my guys in MRT. The problem is not the drugs. The problem is not the alcohol. The problem is not the mixture either. The problem is your behavior. You don't know how to conduct yourself. You're sloppy. You don't know how to be more conservative. You don't know how to be discreet. You just want to let it all out.
Amen.
Think about it. If you're quiet, you're collected, and you do this, and you know how much to do, you don't overdo it, you will be fine. Like he said, presidents, leaders, these guys are now, what does he say the word? Recreational. Why did you all be recreational? Why you gotta be criminals? Why? Because of your status? Because of their status? Because of their level of education? Your level of education? Why don't we think like them? What did Clinton say? Well, I did not sleep with that woman. Yeah, but your sperm is in her dress. You don't need to sleep with her. You had sex with her. Notice how the question was worded. Think, guys. Think. Yes.
She gave them head.
Good morning. That's all he's got.
Hey.
Sir, yes.
So when you say that behavior, right? I like the part because
Excuse me, please.
when you say behavior, I like the part that remind me of that book. It's like how you act and not who you are. Correct?
I didn't hear the last part you said.
How you act is not who you are.
I don't understand.
Where does it say that?
Say the way you act, that's who you are.
No, it's not
How
who
you
you are.
act is not who you are.
The way you act is not who you are. That's correct.
All right, that's fair.
That's correct. Yes. That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Your rap sheet, your criminal, your addiction, your drug of choice does not identify who you are. You walk in with a tie, with a button down and a tie. That's exactly true. And a lot of guys will tell me, oh, did you not read my criminal background? And I say, no. For what? You want me to read that? I don't want to read it. Not because I'm lazy and I don't want to. It's because I don't care what somebody wrote about you. I don't care what their personal opinion was about you. I don't care if they like you or they dislike you. Because think about it. Do you really want the next person who's going to set you free to really have a notation of what this one is saying? No, you must not want that. You want to come in with a clean slate. Let me tell you who I am. Let me show you what I can do. Let me show you how smart I am. But let me show you what are my weaknesses, because these are my weaknesses and I have no control over them, but I'm willing to try hard to pass. I'm willing to do what I can do to get my MRT going, even though I probably feel like I can't do it. There's a way, there's always a way to do things. And for you guys who think you're not gonna do MRT, you're absolutely wrong.
I'll
Yes,
be
you are.
the truth.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Sorry, me again.
It's you again. Welcome.
Yes, me again. That's. So when you trying to get a job, right?
Yeah.
They look at your record, right, what you did before. So different judge will not hire you, correct? Because that's what you did before. That's for me considered like a stigma in a way, or not?
No, that's fact. That's what you did. Stigma is,
Doesn't define you who you are, who you was.
the stigma is more of someone having more of a personal judgment on you. So you look like the type that would just come in here, steal sugar and leave. That's stigma.
And you-
Hey, who be snitching on me?
Wow.
I'm playing.
I was just saying, I could have said something else.
Cause I'm too hyper, that's why you mentioned it.
I was just playing, I don't know. Not yet, early. But anyway, when a person keys in your social, okay, they'll find all those wonders about you, all those appointments you have. I don't do that. Because I rather not. I rather treat you as someone who's coming in for your own purpose. I don't do that. All right. So, I did say that it's not a drug, right? I did say it's a behavior.
Yes.
So you need to understand what is your behavior. What is it and how is it you're going to act after you use, after you have that drink, what's gonna happen? And I'm sure most of us do know what's gonna happen, because we're not gonna have one, we're gonna have more. We're not gonna be able to drive, we're not gonna be able to walk or talk. What's gonna happen? Are you become aggressive? Are you a cool party person, or you just like the worst person to be around? So you gotta know those things. And remember, if from the political standpoint, these people who are presidents have admitted that they have one-time use. What is the difference between them and you? There is no difference, only a status of social economics. That's it. Level of education, that's it. Some of you guys here have gone to college, so you guys know what I'm talking about. And honestly, a degree does not make you. You make that degree. Because if you don't know how to manage yourself, manage your emotions, get uncomfortable before you get comfortable, you're not gonna head nowhere positive. You're gonna stay right here where you are, and you're not gonna be able to move because you're gonna tell yourself, well, this is all I know. Well, you know me, I'm from the street, so this is all I know. I don't know what else to do with myself. Well, wow, are you serious? You really don't understand that you can do something different and learn to adapt and do things any different? But there's always a way to do things different. If you don't know, if you don't understand, this is why we put these movies up. So you guys can see that if you don't change your patterns and your thoughts and your behaviors, you will always be the same person. You will always have the same outcome. And what it is that we're trying to do is for you not to have the same outcome. It's for you to never return to this place ever again. It's for you to stay out there and stay out. Don't come back. Some of you guys have more issues than others. Families that are waiting for you. So you need to get it together. Let me work on myself. I need to go. Last thing before we go. He said the three things to do. You got somewhere to go?
No, I thought you guys see. Okay.
3 things that he said we need to do. Attractive alternatives. That is what you should keep in mind. That's the only thing I got from whatever he said at the end. Attractive alternatives. Okay, what is that? That means that if you don't use, what are going to be your alternatives? This is step 3 in MRT. What is it that you're doing? No, actually step 2 in MRT, your shield. What is it that you're doing? What is it that you need to do better to have more? That should be your alternative attraction. Damn, I want a new car. Damn, I want to have a house. I want to buy a house. I want to build that extension in my house. Damn, I want to help my family. Damn, I want to help my wife, my girlfriend, my mother, whatever. Those should be your alternatives that are attracted to you. That you say, you know what, I'm going to do this. That's your passion for. Save your yawns. Now, he also said to decriminalize drugs, possession of drugs. What do you guys think about that?
Of course, the laws are unconstitutional.
Okay?
They do it, or they,
We have your hand up, please.
yeah, I have my hand up, but I just want to know if it's offensive to a person to ask them, as you see they have a defect for something that they don't use. It is offensive to ask them, what do you drink a full logo or whatever that got you acting that way, why don't drink a full logo? Is it okay to do that, to ask the person if you see that they're offended on something that makes their mind up? Is this offensive to me to ask them, hey man, you all right on what's your substance as far as work that got you here, it seems like you would like to use it.
So it's offensive to ask a person,
Is it offensive to ask them?
Ask them their drug of choice.
is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
No.
In a way, but in a way, how you present yourself. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what's your drug of choice? I don't know you. I don't talk to you.
Yeah.
You gotta start off with a little you know, you've been kind of acting kind of weird. You know, what's your drug of choice? If you say it like that, then you know it's probably not. You're probably not gonna get it out.
No, fine, because that actually brings it back to stigma. Now, if a person doesn't know you, why would they ask you that?
Yeah, that's suspicious.
Yeah, exactly. So, if a person, just like he said, if I talk to you, then I'll ask you that. But if a person randomly comes and like, James, are you using?
That's still suspicious.
There has to be a motive where that person is even asking you that. Yeah. I think it's more a stigma. I think it's more about getting your business.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you.
I don't like too many questions from strangers.
So look at this one, guys.
Sure, ask them.
God, Lord. All right, and then the last one, he says education. We should all be educated on what are our rights. We should all be educated on what these drugs, these illicit substances will do to you. Now, it is just like anything else. One size does not fit all. Only because I can use meth once, 2, 4, 7 times, I'll like it, I don't get sick, that does not mean that it's gonna happen to you as well. Because all our bodies are different, and whatever I intake, it might have a bad or not have a bad effect on me. The same thing goes for you. I cannot have an apple. I see people here eating apples sometimes. I cringe when I see them. So that's the effect. Yes, sir.
Well, you mentioned how it's important to know what drugs you're taking. Well, in today's era of the black market, there's like a lot of the cocaine coming in. It's usually done within our country, but even if they I know over in Puerto Rico, they re-rock cocaine and put in what's it called? Other types of like synthetic cocaines that they buy on the dark web over in China, or and all the heroin coming across the border, they're putting fentanyl in. So a lot of times you don't even know what you're getting these days. So even though you know, oh yeah, I know this is cocaine, oh yeah, I know this is methamphetamine, they're even making counterfeit pills that look like the government pills that look just like, but they have it's fentanyl in.
Fentanyl, yes.
So even when you think you're getting legal government pharmacy pills, they're fentanyl pills come from Mexico. So in today's time, you can't say, oh yeah, I know what I have.
Yes, and you told me with that one. When I was driving to work this
That's why it
morning.
should be decriminalized, so it's more controlled
You are
and
absolutely right.
safer.
Yes. I actually heard on the radio that in Broward and Dade County together, they had a measure in 2019, which statistics go back 2 years. They have measured in 2019 that 91% of people who use cocaine got sick or was actually passed away because it was laced with fentanyl.
Yeah. And I've noticed that since 2016.
It sure is. It is, yes, and here we go.
Yes.
I think they come in a decision is something to look forward to because states like Oregon, drug use, they do have places where they test your drugs for you. So that would kind of solve the situation.
Yeah, but then what does that tell? That could tell you do it?
No, but that's great for safer drug use. Because you have people who buy drugs and then use them without knowing what they have.
There's testing about it.
And that happens more likely because of how the legal status of it is. If it was decriminalized, it would be helpful to think of someone like, what is this?
The black market would be more controlled.
But that's like a needle. So I'm gonna give you a needle for the IV.
Right.
Or
No,
we're not doing needle because we're sensitive HIV and
But it's a good way for you to keep it good.
it's true.
Needle sharing, yes. And the safe needle, and the good people.
So you quitting, otherwise